I remember, my first, I'd never even heard of Ibogaine before I even, until I actually met you, and we
Mm.
were chatting about it, and, a lot of the work that you do with medical professionals and now training them and just making it, very much mainstream as part of healing and protocols. So I know we're going to get into that, but as you were sharing, I just recall, when I was open to that healing journey for myself, and the first time I said yes, it was like after my divorce. I had gone through something so, painful. And it was very much this opening entry to, all right, there's a lot of things that need to purge. And it was like my year of saying yes. And it was yes to, because I needed to recreate a whole community that I had just left, and it was a very dark time for me, but I knew that in addition to, my therapy, my, the healing work that I was doing, the energetic work that I was doing with practitioners and healers and things and so on and so forth, that I got the invitation to go to this retreat, and it was 3 days. And as you were saying, I then, on the third day, the last day of the retreat, it was almost that the first 2 nights were just different chapters of my life. And that second night was very much when, at least, I mean, I was, purging and also crying, but fully releasing a lot of the emotions that I had kept inside for just my losses. And and so then on the third day, when I see, like, the spirits of my mom and my dad and my brother, just like angels on my shoulders, and it was kind of like, Peter Pan, Tinkerbell. But that really gave me so much solace and peace. And I know that's not the experience for everyone. And, this is not the episode that we're encouraging you to go and do those things, because I think that, for everyone, it is it's a personal choice. And I know we're going to get into that and to see if it's even right for you. Cause I know that a lot of times you can actually do a lot of your traditional healing work and be okay there. But for me, I know that that was kind of the permission I had to then say, all right, I think I'm ready to leave dentistry, leave, my hometown of Chicago, because I felt like they were always my guides there. So that was a really profound experience for me. But so take us through then, how has the work that you have been able to uh, do, how do you now relate it in terms of, well, who is this really for? And should all types of people be, saying yes to these types of treatments, basically?
Well, yeah, I'll just take a step back too and share what Being True to You does. So, our company, Being True to You, is an online integration coaching company. So, we do not provide psychedelic therapies. We do not advocate for psychedelic therapies, and we do not suggest that people do them or make referrals or recommendations to them whatsoever. So, what we do at Being True to You is provide transformational and integration coaching to people. And we also have a world-class coach training program that is in its ninth year, fifth edition. We've trained over 1,000 people now. We have people come to us all around the world because we've been doing it longer than anyone else. There's a few programs popping up in the last year or two, but we've been providing this training and transformational and integration coaching around psychedelic therapies and other transformational tools for 13 years now. So it's really exciting. We're really grateful for what we get to do. And really, what we focus on is helping people to find and connect with their true self, find the path of their true self, and learn how to cultivate. And then on that path, it's up to them what kind of transformational tools they use. And so we consider psychedelics a transformational tool. A lot of the psychedelic clinics out there call us to do their before and after care programs. So we bookend a lot of these programs for ketamine clinics and for ibogaine clinics and other psychedelic medicine retreats we've worked for, where we're prepping people who have already chosen on their own to do psychedelic therapies. We're prepping them going into the experience, and then we're helping them integrate coming out of the experience. And so within that, we've learned quite a bit through the years around, how to use psychedelic therapies and transformational tools and get the greatest benefit out of them. You don't want to worship these things and put all your power into them, because that's really the problem that we are dealing with right now in society in general, is turning our power over to the material world. That really is what addiction and attachments are, right? We are externalizing our problems, we're externalizing our solutions, we're grasping for something that can come and give us relief and answers and freedom and meaning. And the more we
Totally.
search, it's like the more lost we are.
Mhm.
So psychedelic therapies are unique because when you go into these journeys, all of a sudden you have to have this like real conversation with yourself. It's very raw, it's very emotional, it can be, it's very real for people. And you're processing like all the stuff that's been hidden deep in the closet, or the stuff that's been right in front of you that you're not really looking at. All of a sudden you're processing all these things. And that makes integration coaching really fun for us, I have to say. Even though we're
Oh my
not sending
goodness.
people to do these things,
Yeah.
I would have to say, in all these years of coaching people who have been using these tools and who haven't, that it is helpful to us as a coach, because we are getting through a lot of those initial barriers and resistance and egoic defenses. And we're able to just get down to brass tacks, so to speak, to do the nuts and bolts of this work. So now to your question, um, you know, anybody who feels called to psychedelic therapies, I think that the main thing is you don't have to do them. There are lots of ways through your religious practice, your spiritual practice. There's a lot of um, excellent cultivation pathways that people are using to find their true self and to let go of their attachments and to figure out their value system and come back to their core. But for those people who do feel called to psychedelics, I would say it's going to be people who genuinely want to work on themselves, people who are able to self-reflect, look within and identify their own shortcomings, their own misgivings, wrongdoings, things like this, and acknowledge there's things I want to work on. It's my responsibility to work on them, and I'm willing to go in and actually see these things, and furthermore, to get support, accountability, and guidance around my integration. Now, of course, there's people using these things recreationally, and that's just a whole different topic. But if
Right.
you're using them for therapy, the most important thing is that you're called to it on your own. You've done your own due diligence. You know what you're getting into. It doesn't interfere with your religious practice or something. Like, you feel an integrity with yourself to do something like this, and you're willing and able to look at yourself and do the work. The
Mhm.
people who don't do as well in this regard would be their family talked them into it, their spouse talked them into it, they really didn't want to do it. And they could still have really great experiences, because I know that happens a lot. But when a person doesn't have autonomy in the experience, or they don't know what they're getting into, it could be too much for their psyche to take at that time if they weren't prepared. And also, if someone has a hard time self-reflecting, we see this a lot with, personality disorders, if you want to think about it in clinical terms, whereby a person has a strong propensity to blame all their problems on other people in the world, and has a very hard time looking within and just taking responsibility for themselves. It can be jarring to take a psychedelic experience, because all of a sudden you're just faced with your stuff and you're not used to seeing the world like that. It can be sharp and it can be edgy, and then you come out and you feel a little traumatized, because it's kind of like forcing someone to see something that they're not ready to see.
See you next time at the Brave Table.